cow. I didn't realize how many people were here. Thanks for coming. I'm Brian, and I opened up Modern Love about a year and a half ago, and if you've never been there, you should come check it out. It's right here on Castle Street. There's a lot of great stuff going on Castle Street. I'm super excited to be here. I think that we're talking about journeys today, and it's sort of ironic that I'm back on Castle Street because I was here before from 85 to 91, and actually my last apartment was on the corner of 3rd and Castle Street. It looks very different now. I think the house sold recently for about $700,000, and at the time I could rent the whole place for $150 a month. We had a hole in our bathroom floor that was about this big, and there was a raccoon that would show up every once in a while. So sometimes you would open up the door, and sometimes the raccoon would be in there, and it was sort of like walking in on somebody. So you never knew what was going to be in there in the morning. But that was Wilmington from 1985 to 91. It looks very different than it does now. But if it had not been for it being as strange and unusual and as urban and progressive as it was at that time in this one small community in downtown, I would definitely not be here. My lifelong dream as a child was to become an insurance salesman. And this is pretty far away from that. But I came here in 1985, not sure what I wanted to do. Either be a life insurance salesman or be a writer. And I took one business course and became a writer. Eventually, kind of. It's a long story. But the writing community here was so strong. The artist community was great. I was lucky enough to work at a place downtown called Front Street News. Yeah, it was a really, really special place. And it was sort of a little oasis for people who were creatives or accidentally creatives, people who had ideas. And once we all got together, we were like, why not do that? You want to start a band? We would go start a band. If you wanted to do a movie night, we would get together and we would do a movie night. In fact, we did a lot of Blue Velvet movie nights. We supported each other like I'd never been supported before with any creative endeavor. Where I grew up, it just wasn't something that you did. You just sold life insurance. So once I moved into the downtown community, made connections with other people, they were encouraging enough to provide me enough faith to continue to be a writer. I decided the next step is to go to Ohio and go to grad school to be a creative writing professor, writer, instructor. That's what the plan was. And so all I did was read and write and read and write and pretty much read and write. That was it. If you saw me walking down the street, I would actually be reading. I remember I lived on 5th Street, and I would be reading T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland walking home, and I'm lucky I never got hit by a car. You know, if I had any time to do anything, it was all about writing. Have you guys ever seen the movie Whiplash? Yes. That kid was me. I wanted to write something that was so good that people would just quit writing. I wanted to write something that you were going to read and you're like, what's the point in writing anything else? This guy just wrote the greatest thing ever. I'm heartbroken. And, you know, fortunately, I never wrote that. I never got to that point where, you know, I wrote the one thing that was going to change the world. But what I did do is I got myself from point A to point B. Point A was Wilmington, point B was grad school in Ohio. I was very fortunate to fall in with a group of people who were also as ridiculously motivated as I was. We were nuts about writing. It's all we talked about, that's all we did. And we all knew that what we were going to do was to be writers and professors. We had pounded it into ourselves, and that was just what was going to happen, no questions asked. Well, while I was there, and I was driving myself crazy about becoming the greatest writer in the world, I would have to take breaks from time to time. And since I had immediately spent all of my money once I got to Ohio on buying recording equipment and guitars and was completely broke, I decided I need furniture for my apartment, but I didn't have any money. So I literally would walk around all night thinking about writing, pulling things out of the trash that were wonderful, mannequins, I found pianos, I found designer furniture that was manufactured by Knoll International and designed by sculptors. There was stuff everywhere. And after about a year of collecting all this stuff, I realized this is all kind of from the same time period. This is all what would now be considered mid-century modern. I didn't purposefully go out looking for it, but like life, it's what I fell in love with. You know, if you go out looking for something, you might find it, but then you might realize this isn't it. So in the middle of doing the grad school thing and getting obsessed with the mid-century stuff, I finished up my time in grad school, but I had this new spark and this new interest. And we ended up deciding to move to North Carolina. And by the time we'd gotten here, I think I was ready to not write anything anymore. If you guys have ever gone to grad schools where you're doing an MFA and you have to do a workshop, has anybody ever done one of those? Great. You guys are so much better off than I was, because everybody I know who's gone for an MFA, I'd say 95%, never do whatever it is that they went to go study again, ever. It messes with your mind. So after I give up and I'm not gonna write anymore, I'm completely done with it. It's like a bad breakup. You have to, you know, I lost weight, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. So in order to find something else to do, I really got into buying and selling mid-century stuff. I love designs. I love the artwork from the time period. I just fell in love with the fascination and the optimism of what could come in the future. We did all kinds of crazy stuff as far as design goes. We used different materials back then, a lot of innovative stuff, and it just really spoke to me. And everything was great for a while. I worked like crazy, I was so happy, but then in the back of my head, writing was there, and it was like, hey, what are you doing? Why don't you come over and write a little bit? You know, it was like meeting up with an old girlfriend, boyfriend that you probably shouldn't have been involved with, but it felt really good, and they looked really good, and they were saying, you're kind of good at this, you know, maybe we should spend some more time together. And so I did. I took a little break from work and cut my hours down, and started messing around with poetry and got back into it like an idiot. Wrote for a couple years and was like, okay, I got to get away again. So I did the most reasonable thing I could possibly do, and I took up surfing. So I came to Wilmington every chance I could get. I would wake up at 5 in the morning, drive down, surf for the day or surf for a couple of days, and then go back. And when that took place, I started to think, what if I put something in Wilmington that was like what I had in Raleigh, but was geared more towards Wilmington? I always felt that I owed something to Wilmington, because had I not come here, and had I not fallen in love with the city, and had I not met these really sweet, supportive people who were so accepting of me and everybody else, and we were a queer, motley, strange looking, strange acting group of people who really didn't care. You couldn't really do a whole lot to hurt our feelings. So I began to think of what I could do to start modern love. I wanted to do something that was uniquely me, and give back to Wilmington the gift that it gave to me, which was to be supportive of creatives. I don't know if you've ever been to our shop. Please do come in. I'd love to strike up a conversation, and I would love to hear about what people are passionate about. When you find somebody who is as passionate about creativity as you are, you have an instant bond. You're part of a bigger family. And it just so happened that I had a chance, after 20 years of thinking about it, to finally do something here. And trying to think chronologically if this is making sense. Oh, I gotta backtrack a little bit. I did give writing one more chance. But this time it was fiction. So it's gotta be completely different, doesn't it? I mean, there's gotta be agents on the phone if I'm working on fiction. You know, maybe I've got a story that's gonna make nobody wanna write another short story again, Emmy. And so I did give it a shot, but the crushing feeling of rejection when you get that letter after you've written something for like 200, 300, 400, 500 hours to make this one 10-page story, all you want to do is get that in front of people. All you want to do is to write this thing so that people can hear and see and appreciate what it is you've been doing in your garage, or you're in a closet or in a back bedroom for, 500 hours. So I said, this is it. I can't do this anymore. And I pretty much just put everything aside. I went into my garage and said, I think I'm gonna be a painter. I think I'm gonna try to paint. I couldn't keep paintings in my store at Father and Son. If a mid-century modern painting came in, especially if it was an abstract, it was gonna sell. The only problem is I needed it to sell at a reasonable price, because not everybody can go and drop $5,000 on a 2x3 abstract. And I couldn't go to an artist and say, can you make this for me so that I can sell it for like $200 and try to, give my customers a good deal. It just doesn't work that way. So I figured, what the hell, I'll just make it myself. Because that's the Wilmington thing to do. If you need something and it's not there, why not do it yourself? If there's a need for something, jump in there and do it. So that's what I did. And I fortunately never took a class, I never took a workshop, I never did any of that stuff, because I learned as an MFA student before, that's not a good way to encourage people to take huge risks. Because a workshop is basically a panel of 12 people who sit there and tell you everything that you do wrong all week. You've usually got one person who's got this group of rules, you've got another person that has a separate set of rules, and I couldn't do that with painting. The great thing about painting abstracts is if you wake up after working on a painting for a couple of months and it looks like crap, just paint over it. All of those layers that go into my paintings, there's a reason why they're there. I don't know why. It's not really up to me, but it becomes part of this deeper narrative, this story that's there. Fortunately, I don't have to make up the stories anymore. I just have to make up the paintings. And then I give them to whoever wants to look at them, and they can put their own story in there. They get to be the creative ones after I'm done making whatever it is that I'm sending out into the world. It's hard for me to look at anything and not see a story in it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've always loved old stuff so much. Even when I was first starting to collect things, definitely had an effect on my writing. The difference between a clock that's made in 2 years ago and a clock that was made in like 1945, you can look at it and you can automatically see this is a different time period. There were things that were going on while these things were designed that were so foreign to us now, but yet they're aesthetically beautiful. So for me, the two have always sort of been intertwined in kind of a loose, weird way. It's sort of a cause and effect. one door closes and then another door might need to be pushed in or kicked in a little bit, but eventually something else goes on. You know, people always say never give up, whatever it is, never, ever, ever give up. That's pretty good advice sometimes, but it's also not a bad idea to walk away from things for a while. Sometimes, for me, making art, making writing, literature, whatever you want to call it, I have to kind of just say, you know what, screw this. I can't do this anymore. And then I think that sort of helps alleviate a lot of the pressure, because as creatives, we're always pushing ourselves. We're always trying to do something a little bit more. Most people don't want to paint the same painting 100 times. Most people don't want to write the same story over and over. It's always got to be something a little bit more, something a little bit more interesting, something a little more honest. Trying to think. So just a little advice, if things get really hard with whatever your creative activity is, don't be afraid to switch to something else. Don't be afraid to try something else, because everything that you're learning as a creative is going to eventually show up in your work. It might be buried in there and you may not even recognize it, but the time that you spend making things, that's probably one of the most crucial parts of the journey. The time that you spend with the paint, the time that you spend behind the typewriter, this time that you spend reading, the time you spend going to museums. You're growing. You may not know it, but you're absorbing things. That's sort of what we do. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to flop. It's totally fine. It just makes you more interesting. I would say I've failed at many, many more things than I've succeeded at. And I'm gonna fail at more stuff. I mean, there's no telling. I have all kinds of failures to look forward to in life. So it's totally fine. Dreams can change, things can change. I never imagined that I would be as happy as I am now doing what I'm doing. It's just unfathomable. Even my dream for Modern Love here in town, it has changed so much in the past 18 months. I never realized I would be so lucky to meet the people that I've met. I never thought I would have neighbors like I have. Having a store in Raleigh in almost 30 years, I don't know that I have ever cultivated friends in the community the way that I have here in Wilmington. But I attribute that to Wilmington because somehow we have all ended up here in this spot. And there's so many nice people here. There's so many people with creative energy. You've got filmmakers, you've got painters. Everybody is an artist. Maybe a scam artist, but they're an artist. You know, this is a special place. I hope everybody realizes how special it is. If not, go for a walk tonight. Go down to the river, check it out. Go see a band, go to a gallery. We've got a lot of stuff here to be thankful for. And even though every day is not great and every business day is not spectacular, I get to be here. I get to see how beautiful the landscape is. I get to meet really cool people, and I may never make a whole lot of money doing this, but this is something that I wanted to do, and we'll just see where it goes. I think Castle Street is the best place that I could have landed. It has a vibe like no other street in this town. We have a chance to make something really special on Castle Street. At one point in time, Wilmington looked very different. At one point in time, there were white businesses and black businesses that fed off of each other. There were white folks and black folks in the community who loved each other, who fought for each other, who stood up for each other, even under terrible circumstances. Castle Street has a chance to put together a place where everyone feels loved, where everybody feels accepted. You walk down the street and you want to see everybody. You want to see people in suits. You want to see people in pink gorilla suits. You want to look in windows. You want to see people who are hopeful about the future, who have small businesses, who want to do more. I mean, this is a great town. There's no doubt about it. We've got a chance to make Castle Street a spectacular place to be. And I'm hoping that my friend Anthony can tell you a little bit more about his vision for Castle Street, because I do think that what he's got could really be the foundation to turn this street around for a long time. I've been familiar with Castle Street since I lived on it in '91, and I've seen it go up and down and up and down. And I really do feel like with all the folks who are interested in the well-being of Castle Street, and all the long-term residents, all the folks who have been here forever, if we can all come to some conclusions, and if we can all find something that's going to make us feel positive about the future, I think it's going to be great. And I'd love for everybody that's here to be as excited about Castle Street as I am. It's a really cool spot, great business owners, and the people who come down, they're sort of a different breed as well, which is great. I like being around the special people. We'll call ourselves the special people. But you know, we really are. You know, you guys are here today. You're interested in creativity. And that means that there's something working up here that you guys need to attend to and see where it goes. You really never know where you're going to end up. I was going to sell insurance. Who knows? Now, I think that's probably about my time, isn't it? Okay. Hey, thank you guys. And here's Anthony.
Just to piggyback on Brian's talk, we have a couple people from the Castle Street community here, and I just want to introduce them. We have Anthony Durrett, who owns a couple of businesses on Castle Street. Remind me of that. Sip and Chill. Hideaway Private Lounge. Venue 615. It's right in that Gravity Records area. And then we have Lauren Ivy from Olivero. Just were up for an award not too long ago. I mean, I'm very excited about that. So anyway, wanted to introduce you to some more Castle Street community members, business owners, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. And someone will come around with a mic. Feel free to ask questions to Brian or to anyone, any of our Castle Street community members. So if anyone has any questions, let's get going. Come on back, because you might have to answer some questions.
Oh, are they going to talk?
Anthony, are you going to talk? Is Anthony going to talk first?
He decided he just wanted to introduce himself.
Are you sure? Come on, man.
But we'll do
come
Q&A.
on. Are you sure? You sure you don't want to say something?
Come on, Anthony.
Hey, how y'all doing today? My name's Anthony Durrett. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. And the only reason why I'm down here is because my dad, he's from Nevada, North Carolina, right across the bridge. And I promised him about 4 years prior to 2 years ago that, my dad, he's 78. And I said, when you're ready to go back home, I'll at least go down there for a year with you to help you get settled and, getting back. And when I came down here, I got a good feel. A good part of my early childhood, I used to come down here every summer. So I seen the whole transformation, especially at Castle Street, because I got a lot of family over here too. And I just liked the way everything was going. Like I said, coming from Charlotte, when everything was gentrified. So what's going on right now, I done been through it from the top to the bottom. And I said, how can I help? How can I bring something of value to this situation? So I ended up getting a building downtown. It used to be the old Mandarin Theater, but they sold me. It was a condemned building. That's another story. But I ended up on Castle Street, still with this crazy vision in my head on, wanting to establish a business to help create diverseness, and bring people together. Didn't know how I was going to do it. I said, man, I seen that building, and I said, you know what? That's it right there. I'm going to get it. I'm going to figure it out. Then I started thinking and started, trying to figure out a business that can bring people together. That's why I wanted a good venue for entertainment, community events, things like that to bring people together. And then I opened up another business, which is called Hideaway. It's like a members only type of lounge, kind of give you the speakeasy feel and everything. Then, man, really getting into it, I ended up getting another business right across the street, right beside Gravity Records, called Sip and Chill. Wanted to create a good community lounge with a good vibe where the community can come together, have a nice drink, listen to some live music, get to know each other. So that's my vision. That's my goal, is to bring business, to bring people together for all walks of life, no matter what your color is. I know some, we can get into like, oh, we trying to gentrify, we got to put this and this and that, but sometimes you can forget about, the history and the people. Brian motivate me another reason why I'm here right here in this is because of Brian. Because sometimes I just be like, man, what am I doing? I'm trying to just putting all this money into this, and it seems like, no one's like listening, like, man, like, because of the history here. It's like black, white, trying to get together in one place and have a good time, and it's just like, it's like I'm not getting nowhere. But he keeps me motivated and I just got to stick with it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I love Wilmington. I love where this is going, and I just want to just be a part and whatever I can do. That's my story.
We love that. There's so much good energy happening on Castle Street, and Anthony's businesses are a big part of that. So I'll open it up to Q&A if anyone has any questions for Brian or Anthony or Lauren. So go for it.
Good morning. I'm Suzanne, and I live on Castle, just off 13th. I live on 13th, just off Castle. So it is my neighborhood now, and kind of where I'm at. For Brian or Anthony, maybe this is a better question for Anthony, I'm not sure. But if you had one wish for people in that area who live there or who visit there, what would you want their actions to be? What would you like people to do to become more involved or to support?
I would like people to give it a chance. Like me, I take a chance. I like give it a chance. Try something different. Try to get to know people. Everybody's not bad, and everybody's not good neither. But just give it a chance. Just try. Try to seek for new things, and try to get to know people. I think if everybody just be open-minded and just give it a chance. Try it out.
Go shoot some pool, man.
Yeah.
Shoot some pool. Have a drink.
But I do think this is a good street, good area to be an example for at least North Carolina. To kind of show where, diverseness can happen. I think this is a great spot.
Thank you so much for sharing. So you talked a little bit about how much Castle Street has changed over the course of many decades. This is a question for both of you. Where do you see Castle Street evolving in the next 5, 10, however many years? What's your hope for that?
Me personally, I see the community, surrounding community, how, you know, homeowners being able to walk, shoot, man, Front Street all the way up to up here, oh, really, Wrights Avenue, just to be able to take a nice walk. I really, truly feel like it'll be a good, safe environment. A lot of activities. I just feel like I really pray and hope that we can somehow come together and kind of reserve some of the history here and kind of somehow bridge the gap of kind of smooth the gentrification over, you know, where people don't feel like, oh, we just been kicked out. Well, you know, maybe because all gentrification ain't bad. Sometimes gentrification is needed, just like Charlotte, it was needed. You know, and I see like diverse, different people, walks of life, and being able to walk up and down Castle Street and be able to get some good food, good entertainment, and good exercise. That's me. That's how I feel. What about what you think?
I want to see people, and especially younger folks. I think it's going to be younger folks that sort of take us in a different direction, hopefully a better direction for the future. And also, the great thing about having young folks come into your businesses is if you can catch somebody who's 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, and you can turn them on to different things, you can turn them on to the design, you can turn them on to music, you can really expand their minds, they're going to fall in love with that area. They're going to say, this is my place to go. And they'll come back for decades. I've got people who used to come into my store in Raleigh, and they're coming in now, some of them with their grandkids. If you can develop that, Castle Street is going to be an excellent place because it can be a place we can always come back to. Yeah. You know, it's got so many possibilities. But if you don't get people to come and check it out, it's not going to happen. So I want to see more festivals. I'd love to see more music festivals. We've been talking about that with Castle Street Collective. We're talking about some historical preservation ideas. We got a lot of stuff that we can do. And one of the great things about being here today is if you guys have ideas, if you guys have anything that you can add to the stone soup of Castle Street, it would be great. Because Anthony is a business person. He's a very successful business person. But Anthony, how would you feel about your creative skills when it comes to decorating?
Oh, need some help? Yeah.
Anybody here that has a talent, anybody here that would like to see a cool venue, a place where you could go, you could have a play, you could have movie night, you can have bands, you can have burlesque, you could have dancing flying squirrels. It doesn't matter. If that's your dream, and you've got something that you could help Anthony with, an idea, if you've got a talent or some time, this would be great. Because I really, really do feel like this is something that this town needs.
And on top of that, was mic on?
I think so.
So on top of that, I feel like it's the right time because it's right in the beginning. So I think the community, and you guys, you know, just everybody can have an influence on how it goes right now because it's in the beginning stages. You know, I think if, you know, Charlotte is nice, but I think it could have been even better if they would have took the chance and really listened to the community. You know, I just think it's a great time, perfect time. Cargo District doing good. I mean, it's a beautiful place.
I'm relatively new to Wilmington, and when I first stumbled upon Castle Street, I was like, wow, this is a different part of Wilmington that I'd never really knew existed. And you know, we were walking on the street, we saw like a pride flag, we saw, you know, Black Lives Matter. We're like, wow, this is really a cool area. I'm just curious about the history of Castle Street and what brought it to be such a special place.
Well, again, I'm born in Charlotte. I just have family here in Wilmington, so I'm still learning about the actual history in Wilmington. You know, But for what I'm, learning, that, there's a lot of bad things and also a lot of good things. I just feel like at some point, we just all need to just come together and just try to figure out how we can make Wilmington continue to grow and figure out how we can make this a better place and be an example for North Carolina. But it is some good history here that I feel like that should be more broadcast, because it is good, it's good history. I just think we just need to all get together and just figure it out. Why it's in the beginning stages, know?
Blank slate.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Would y'all be able to tell us when your businesses are open so we know when we can come and stop by and check them all out?
Okay. Well, Sip and Chill is actually open, but I had to kind of take a step back to kind of get things more, just kind of get more things together, because I'm just a one-man show. I just got this crazy dream, this crazy vision in my head, and sometimes I put the carriage before the horse. But I'm just praying that, things change financially and some, things just work out. I'm just going with the passion and the vision. But Sip and Chill is open. That is going to reopen this actually the first week of February. Have my staff together, actually got a nice little calendar for the upcoming month. Hideaway is open too as well. But that's more for event rental. Venue 615 will be open by the 20th of February. So that will be more of a event space where we're going to be doing community events and a lot of karaoke, comedy shows, things of that nature. So to answer your question, Sip and Chill will be reopening in the first week of February. Hideaway is open, but it's more event situations now. So I am on Facebook, so just kind of get on Facebook and I'll let you guys know.
We're open 12 to 5 every day except for Tuesday now. We might open a little bit later when summertime rolls around, but we're still trying to figure it out. It's constant juggle. And it'll probably always be like that too.
I am a creative person, but I also am very calculating, like very strategic with like creativity. Castle Street, I've been in Wilmington for 20 years, and Castle Street's always been kind of like on the outskirts. Everybody's just like, oh, I'm never gonna walk down there from like downtown or whatever, which has never been a thing for me. I'll walk everywhere in this town.
Yeah.
But Lauren, this might be more for you because of Olivero being what it is. What was the thing? Like, there's got to be something that you were like, Castle Street's the spot. Like Third, where you are now, that has been empty until you were in there the entire time I've been in Wilmington. Right. So there has to be something that was seen, thought, or felt that you were just like, this is the move to make.
Come on up.
I hate microphones, so I hope this is okay. So I joined the project with Sunny Gerhardt, who's the owner of Olivero, kind of after it was already ongoing. But we're really fortunate to have an awesome landlord who Brian works with too, James Goodnight, who owns the building where Olivero is, as well as some other spaces on Castle Street. So partly opportunity with him kind of approaching Sunny and being like, hey, I've got this building in this great neighborhood. And for Sunny, he had been coming back and forth since college, kind of similar story, and always wanted to be back here. And I think being outside of downtown was appealing to us. Like, downtown's great, it's lively, but it doesn't really have that sense of community that Castle Street does. So I think for both of us, like, opening a business outside of that and kind of starting something new and being in a place that had nothing before was a lot more appealing than just kind of being part of the hustle and bustle of everything else. So a little bit of everything, like wanting to be in Wilmington, having a great landlord to provide the space, as well as, you know, being part of more of a neighborhood and community was pretty awesome.
I might have to wrap things up because we're getting to our witching hour. But I will say, I'm going to reach out to everyone who attended, and we usually send a newsletter out, and I will provide links and updates with all of our Castle Street community members that were here that you heard from, and you can keep up with them and find out when the new things are coming. I mean, it's a conversation in a community that needs to keep going. So that's why I feel like this is just the start of a great conversation and growth and a journey to, you know, things happening. So I appreciate you all coming out. This was a wonderful event and just a wonderful morning. So thank you so much. We can't wait to see you in February. Thank you.